this is going to be a bonus episode for us. So hopefully it'll be semi-short for you guys. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and do a quick review of Michael Bay's Pain and Gain, which Kurt and I both saw this weekend. So Kurt, why don't you just go ahead and jump in and tell me what you thought about Pain and Gain?
God, this movie is a little rough. I mean, we all expect things from Michael Bay movies. We expect cheesy moments, we expect over-the-top action, and we just expect some really odd characters. And you get all those things in this movie, but it's just there's too much of everything in this movie. And for a Michael Bay movie, there really isn't very much action in the movie to really keep you interested enough on that fun level. Yeah, this is a rough one.
Yeah, I have to agree. I had pretty, not super high expectations, but pretty high expectations, just based on the fact that it had Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson in the cast. I think those guys are pretty awesome, but I have to agree, man. I felt like there was a lot of stuff going on in this movie that really had nothing to do with the story they were telling. I mean, there was a lot of characters that I didn't really understand the point of. I know that this is based on a true story. There was a series of articles written in the 1999 Miami New Times surrounding this real life case. More than anything, it really, really frustrated me. Like a lot of Michael Bay's, it was really, really frustrating because, the biggest problem I have with this movie is that it kind of glamorizes like horrible stuff that these guys are doing, and especially in a movie that a lot of people are going to see. You kind of want characters that are almost going to be role models in a way. Especially, I mean, it's a different thing if these are bad characters and bad things happen to them, which they kind of do in this movie. But like the stuff that these people are doing is painted by Michael Bay to be cool, And I don't think it is. Like there's comedy thrown in with these really serious, dark things, and I don't think the juxtaposition of comedy and serious things worked in this movie. Like. And kind of going off that, I will say that, and I don't know if you agree with me here, Kurt, is that the tone in this movie is all over the place, man. Like, even in single scenes, like there's scenes in this warehouse where a lot of things happen in the movie that are, I mean, literally one shot, one moment is funny, the next moment is really serious. Next shot is funny. Next moment is really serious, and I just didn't think that combination that he had going there really worked for me. So I don't know if you have anything to say on the tone of this also, but I wanted to know what you thought about the performances. So go ahead and take it, Kurt.
The tone is just an absolute mess. There's really no tone to this movie. It like mixes between wanting to be serious, but also trying to have this like muscle man type humor to it, and I didn't really get it. I mean, granted, I don't, lift weights and find just a guy getting a pump after killing a dude funny, but, whatever. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a really hard movie to get a grasp on because there's not much there other than glamorized violence and even if you're gonna go for over the top violence, you better like follow through and give me visuals of the violence. And half the time they don't even do that in this film. It just turns into a weird after effect when they'll just switch to a different character and then they'll show what happened. I'm like, if you're gonna show me a death, show me the death. Don't try to be really soft core about it, but have a boisterous group of characters that have no problem doing these things.
Yeah.
But I'll go on to the acting, like you were talking. There were some performances that were really good in this movie, and I will get my little cheat sheet that I wanted to have. I thought Mark Wahlberg was awesome in this movie. He kind of made this movie watchable for me just because his character is so bizarre. How he goes from being this guy like, I'll do whatever it takes to get the money, but he doesn't want to hurt people too much. and he kind of has to lead these guys, and Anthony Mackie and The Rock, who are just so out of their element in this movie. Like, these characters don't belong with this guy. And I thought Wahlberg was great. The best performance here is definitely Ed Harris, though. Ed Harris is pretty astounding with what he has to work with. There's really nothing to his character. He's just a guy that comes in and investigates, but he has this bravado about him that just makes him jump off the screen more than these musclehead, just over the top characters. Like, he's a grounded character who has a family, and you actually care about their family, and I really like that. I thought The Rock was pretty bad in this movie, and I don't think it's because it had anything to do with Rock's acting abilities. I think his character is just so stupid. Like, they don't know what they want to do with his character. Between his moments where he acts like this really brutal, tough guy who can beat people up, and then he'll jump 5 minutes later and be like, I don't like hitting people, I don't like hurting people. Like, you can't just decide to be a 360-pound man of, well, I guess that'd be generous. He's probably like 300 pounds with a lot of muscle. And he's just like, how can you have that much muscle and not want to beat people up? Like, what do you lift weights for then?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you there in a sense because it really didn't make any sense. But also at the same time, those moments where he was willing to do these crazy things were when he was kind of all hopped up on cocaine. There's certain moments in the movie where this character is just absolutely crazy because he's kind of high on cocaine. So I think that gives just a little bit of credence to that, like the kind of tonal shift of the character. But overall, I have to agree, even though I actually thought The Rock was the second best performance in this movie, actually. I think Anthony Mackie is actually the standout of the three leads here. I absolutely enjoyed him. He was great in the comedic parts, but he was also really good in the serious moments. Like there's the moment. I won't get into it because we're not going to get into spoilers here. But there's the moment where they're kind of in a van and about to do something really really bad, and Mark Wahlberg is telling The Rock's character to do this thing, and the look on Anthony Mackie's face was really great. Like, I thought he did really good in that kind of. He's kind of in the background, but I think he did a good job with it. But going on to more people who are in this movie, like, was it just me, or did you feel like there was a lot of unnecessary characters in this movie?
That could have been the name of this movie. Like,
Yeah,
it was just so bad.
yeah,
Like, I mean, let's face it. Rob Corddry is really good here. I thought he was awesome, but I didn't really feel like his character was all that important. He's kind
yeah.
of an afternote in this whole scam that they're trying to pull off,
Hmm.
and he kind of gets screwed over for being a friend almost, and that really bothered me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there because there's one point there's one point where towards like the third act, and I mean you eventually see him at the end of the third act, but where you don't really see him, and he comes back towards the end and you're like, holy shit, I forgot this character was even in the movie. Because there's so
Yeah.
much going on. I mean, you look at a character like the one Rebel Wilson plays, which I thought she was pretty good in this. Funny, she did what she was supposed to do, which was be funny. But I thought she was completely unnecessary. I mean, especially for like it's kind of a C plot almost. Really, it's not a B plot with her and Anthony Mackie's character. But there's also characters like Ed Harris's wife, which I mean, as much as that character's there to kind of give you an emotional attachment to him, I felt like it was kind of unnecessary because you don't really get to know this person, so I didn't really care for her. I mean, as much as I'm rooting for the Ed Harris character, I just kind of felt like it was unnecessary. It was something we didn't need in this movie. But I think that goes to also like the larger point that this movie is just kind of has a lot of stuff that it doesn't need. I think there's actually a really good movie to be had here, but I think there's just a lot of bad choices made on the part of Michael Bay here. So I don't know. I'm so.
Yeah. I also want to throw in that just I actually thought Tony Shalhoub was pretty awesome in this movie. He plays a really good, weirdly like the way the movie is structured. He's kind of like an antagonist, but he's a kind of a good guy. I didn't really know how to read his character, but I
Yeah.
thought he does a great job at being this just royal douchebag, but
Yeah.
at the same time being able to flip a coin and like totally turn on a dime and make The Rock his friend. And I really like that.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah, but I mean, was that subplot really necessary? I mean, it never pays off. I mean, it's completely ubiquitous to this whole thing because it's just like it's there and it's trying to build character, but it never adds up to anything, you know? And that's the thing, like I said, that really frustrated me about it.
yeah, I agree. But I think we can pretty much both agree that the most useless character in this movie is Bar Polly. Like, she has no need being in this movie. She's just there to be a good looking group of tits, and that's the whole or this whole
Yeah.
movie. Like, they even
Yeah.
try to put a scene where she, like, becomes a part of the group, and she doesn't do anything. She's in there for 5 minutes, and she distracts The Rock a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know. As useless as she was, I really enjoyed the neighborhood watch meeting scene with just her in there and all the guys like oogling over her. I thought that was pretty amusing. But again, that's something that never. I mean, it never goes anywhere. And kind of that kind of made me think of something else that I really didn't enjoy about the movie, and that's the unnecessary use of voiceover throughout 95% of this movie. I mean, it's like, holy shit, how stupid do you think we are? I mean, I know Michael Bay kind of goes often to the lowest common denominator, but it's like, holy crap. I mean, seriously, it really started to annoy me.
Yeah, I got to the halfway point of this movie, and at the beginning, I'm like, okay, new characters being introduced. You gotta have the voiceover, awesome.
Yeah.
But then they just kept doing it.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't understand that these guys stole the money from them. I needed to know that Mark Wahlberg had to explain it to me because
Yeah.
that was such a complicated idea that went straight over my head.
Yeah, no, seriously, I know. And the thing that's really frustrating is with all the new characters that are introduced in the movie, they all have voiceover of their own backstory, you know? And it's like when Ed Harris is introduced, he gives you like a 30-second or minute long voiceover of his backstory. And I just thought that was completely unnecessary, you know? Like, why can't we just jump into it with these characters? Because then at least that way you're kind of in the shoes of the character and finding things out as they do, you know? Um, I don't know. It was a really frustrating movie. So I think I think we both are just so on it. What rating would you give this movie, Kurt?
Um, Before we do that, I would kind of want to throw out some love for Ken Jeong in this movie. I thought he was really funny. Just that whole scene at the whole business kind of, I don't even know
Like a
what to
conference?
call that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that conference was so funny, and like
yeah,
that the Mark Wahlberg revelation was just like, this guy gets me. I'm like, that this is actually pretty awesome.
yeah,
But as far as rating, for being an overly long movie, it's just, I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. Like it's so much missing from this movie.
yeah, yeah. I have to agree. There's a lot of stuff wrong. I think there's some things to like. If you're a fan of The Rock, you're gonna like this performance of his because it's kind of out of his wheelhouse. It's really something he hasn't really ever done before. Uh, Mark Wahlberg, if you're a fan of him, he's playing the straight man in this, so I think you'll know what to expect with that. And like I said, Anthony Mackie I really enjoyed the stuff he did in this. So just from the performances alone, I think I would also give this 4 out of 10. But I don't think you guys should see it in theaters. There's nothing that really screams you need to see this in the theater. Like Kurt said, the action is mediocre, especially for a Michael Bay movie. So I think this would be a good red box rental. Some people might enjoy it, um, but I don't think this is one that is particularly. I don't think it's going to particularly hold up after multiple viewings. So take that for what you will.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that's going to close us out for this little mini episode here. Is there anywhere people can find your work, Kurt?
Yes, I have a blog online. The website is kdhmr.blogspot.com.
Awesome, and that'll also be in the credits for those of you who are a little more literate than others. And of course, I am Taylor Salen. You can find my blog at taylorsalen.tumblr.com. And so, with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off. Kurt, you have yourself a good night, man.